think leaving the public school system, even my peers, I mean, when we talk about this, we left with the idea that Black history is slavery and Jim Crow. And we're rarely talking about the Reconstruction era, the amount of senators and politicians we had post-slavery. It was just so many things that we did after slavery that we're being told we can't do today somehow. That is just asinine.
So while you were taking a shower, this actually came across my feed. And so it wasn't anything I was really particularly looking for, but it's something that I started listening to, and I really wasn't listening to what honestly really wanted to hear anything. But I have to say this, there's something that touches my nerve here and there, and this is one of those subjects. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know much about CRT. It's one of those things that came up in the news.
What is CRT?
I'll be honest with you, I really don't know. It came up in the news probably about a year and a half ago. And I saw it coming across a lot of YouTube feeds and things like that. And to be honest with you, just for the simple fact of there's some things that I really don't want to get into the mud about. And mentally, a lot of times don't really want to get into the yuck of some of the things that go on social media and some of the things that go on in the media. And this was a hot topic probably about a year and a half ago. And the thing is, I think it's still kind of up there to a degree. But ultimately, here's my issue with some of these talking points, and it sometimes it is controversial, but I feel like that a lot of society, to a degree, to be honest with you, what are you laughing at?
Your go-to line, to be honest with you.
It is.
It's always honest with you.
I mean listen,
good.
because the thing is that I do have some times where I joke, and some of the times where I am, just kind of like off the cuff and things like that. And sometimes I just say stuff just to say something sometimes. But this is actually an honest feeling. The honest feeling that I actually have right now is that I feel like that the Black people are still put on like a second tier level as far as being in society. And the reason why I say it like that is that I don't consider myself as being on any type of second tier or anything like that. But yet there are some Black people that will criticize me and that will say that I don't know what I'm talking about and I shouldn't, I don't know about the real struggle, even though I'm a Black person. And there are also some white people that tell me that I have a struggle that I don't know that I'm having. And I do get offended by that. I get very offended by that, just for the simple fact is that, listen, everybody is an individual. Everybody has their own individual struggles. The thing is that a struggle is not just because of the color of your skin. I mean, if you really want to boil it down to, listen, people have struggles and everybody's struggle is different. And the thing is that I don't want to be classified of me having a certain struggle just because of the color of my skin. Mm-hmm. And that really pisses me off a lot of times. It pisses me off from white people saying that I should feel a certain way about myself, and also pisses me off that Black people feel a certain way about themselves. Because the thing is that a lot of times people will throw how they feel onto you. And now I'm talking about Black people. A lot of times Black people will put how they feel about themselves onto me. And the thing is that, listen, I'll be honest with you, sometimes I feel sorry about the way that you feel about yourself. Because I don't feel that way. Mm-hmm. I don't feel that way because I've been there and I know what you're talking about and I know what you're thinking about. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And the thing is that you don't have to stay in that situation that you're in. Now, I'm not saying every situation is easy. I'm not saying every situation is the same. I understand everybody's situation is different. But the only thing I'm saying is that you are not what people tell you that you are. But anyway. Other than that, I know you don't know what this video is about.
I don't.
So, you got anything to say?
I do, but okay. I'm going to keep it to myself.
Why is it?
It's a sensitive subject.
It's not a sensitive subject.
I'm going to get enough negative comments, I'm sure.
It's not a sensitive subject. But anyway, so let's start. And this is not going to be that long, just for the simple fact that I do have strong feelings about some of these things. And the reason why I have strong feelings about some of these things is because I see so much talent. I see so much talent in the Black community. And I see so much talent that because of other people and because of what people say and because of what people think, and it's not even because of the person in general, it's because of the people around them, that talent doesn't have an opportunity to shine. And I'm being honest with you, that breaks my heart sometimes because I see the talent in people and I'm around a lot of people all day, and just throughout my life, I see many talented black people, but there's this thing that has been programmed in a lot of us that you can't get by just because of the color of your skin. That you have roadblocks just because of the color of your skin.
Yeah.
And the thing is that may be true to a degree, but that's not your complete story. And the thing is that you have a struggle and you have a story that needs to be told. But the thing is that in that story and that struggle to tell your story is that's where you actually find yourself. And I feel like that a lot of people have never found themselves. And it took me, and here's the thing, I'm still in the process of finding myself. But I feel like a lot of black people have not given themselves an opportunity to find themselves. And to be honest with you, listen, if I really had to say what really kind of gets to me, I would say it would be that. Because anyway, let's get to the
Because
video.
you don't want anybody feeling like they're less than they are of themselves. And that's all I was going to say too, is the same thing. Like, I just think that maybe people are afraid of failure, so they don't put themselves out there, they don't try. But like you said, when you work hard and you try and you put yourself out there and you succeed, then you gain this kind of like, this confidence in this, who you are, who you are, you know that you belong. It's just a confidence that you have. And I mean, I don't think anybody should ever feel less than anybody else.
The thing is that you have to give yourself an opportunity to fail. And there's something that you learn in actually failure that it sucks to a degree. But there is a lesson sometimes that you learn. And the thing is that if you're actually open to looking for that lesson outside of what society has taught you that you should look for, versus looking within yourself and saying, hey, what is it within me that
What
may
could I do
have
different?
What I could have done different? What even if I had done it different, would it even made a difference? But it's just that outlook to give you the opportunity and the chance, and also a different outlook. The thing is that failure is not the end of the road.
Right.
But it does give you, listen, if everything is going good, you never really learn anything. And one of the things I've learned in my life is that when things are going good, I really don't learn any type of lessons until I actually hit a roadblock where I do fail at something. But anyway, listen, I can talk forever. Let's get into the video.
What is CRT?
Critical race theory in reality is this complex legal institution that relates race to all of the institutions of America since its founding and since its birth. And it's something that I've never learned about in my classroom. I don't have any friends that have learned about it in their classrooms. It's something that's often taught on the graduate level or the undergraduate level. So I think that it's kind of not a great term to use in reference to conversations surrounding K-12 education, because it's not actually something that's even on the docket for consideration.
That was a perfect description. I could not have done a better description if I tried.
So in my district, and this is in California, they're requiring a class called ethnic studies in order to graduate. And in the class, they were taught about critical race theory. They were taught the definition. They were taught to analyze school policy through critical race theory, and they were taught how critical race theory is beneficial to analyze the U.S. It's basically like this idea that every institution in America, every institution, that interaction that you have has some sort of element of race, and usually there's a hierarchy of oppressed versus oppressor. And there are kids in America in K through 12 that are being taught that, and I'm so tired of people saying that's not happening when it is. And then when I expose it, I'm being called racial slurs and names for exposing it. And I'm like, come on, guys. So I think we need to stop saying it's not being taught in America and change it to should it be taught in America, because it is. There are teachers that are teaching this.
So when I was growing up, I don't know what it was called when I was growing up. I don't know what it was called when I sat in the classroom. I don't know if it was called critical race theory. I don't know if it was called black history. I don't remember what it was called, but I do know the feeling that I got. The feeling that I got was after a certain point in my life, and I don't know whether it was in elementary school or where it was, but when we started to learn about slavery. When we started learning about slavery, the only things I remember from slavery are the negative aspects of slavery.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I remember. I don't remember anything of any achievement by black people. I don't remember being taught anything other than just black people were oppressed. That's the only thing I remember being taught.
I didn't even. I was never even taught that when it ended, it never really ended for a lot of people. Like at that time, we weren't taught much. We were not taught much at all, and the stuff we were taught was horrific. It was horrible, but it was like touch on it, come off of it, and then it ended, and then we moved on.
My problem with this subject, and my problem with subjects around this, is there were some horrific things that went on during slavery, but from my understanding there was many black, and I still don't even know, I really still don't even know, but from my understanding there were many black people who were instrumental in the development of the country, that beside the struggle that they have just at that time because of the color of their skin, that were just genius and overcame the struggles that they had. And they may have not gotten the credit that they were due, and somebody else may have taken the credit. But when you look back now throughout history, is that you can see where they were in those spots in history and how they were pillars to people in those spots in history and into American history. But the problem that I have is the only thing that I remember and that I was taught was the bad things of slavery. And growing up as a kid, to be honest with you, that's one of the things that sticks with you. The thing is that you are, as a kid, when I'm hearing that and I'm sitting in the class with other white people, you know what I'm saying, other people of other races other than black, the first thing that I do is I started saying is like, okay, so I hear about these great inventions of George, I hear about these things of Ben Franklin, these great inventions of Ben Franklin. I hear about George Washington. I hear about yada, yada, yada. And then I hear about these fables of Santa Claus. And I hear about all these things. I hear about all these great things that are not the color of my skin. And I hear about all these negative things that are the color of my skin. And what it mentally did for me was it said that I don't have anything to look to as being great. The only thing I had, and I was good at sports. I was very good at sports. The only thing I had to look to of being great was just athletes. I was good in school. I was also a good athlete. But I was good in school just because my parents made me be good at school. Because in order to play sports, I had to come home with A's and B's. That's the only reason. And in that, I did learn how that I could compete with other people of other races. I remember elementary school is that I was separated, I think, in 4th grade. I was pulled out of class and I was told that I need to go take, some type of special class. And at that point in time, it was called, I think it was AG classes, or whatever they were called. And so I actually scored pretty good in there, but I was pulled out by a teacher to go take those. But what that did was that separated me from everybody else that was my, color, my race, and my class. And then I was put into a different class with a different race of people, which was, most of them non-black. And I only remember there was one black kid in there. And me and him were the only 2 black kids in class. And the thing is, there was a class of about 20 or 30 people. I felt a certain way just as an elementary school kid, just being in that type of setting. And the thing is that as I moved on is that I kept just being like, honestly, 1 of 2, 3. And I don't even know if there was ever 4 black kids in the honor roll classes that I went through middle school and through high school. I would say is that mentally, even though I was in those classes, I did feel like I was second tier.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just never heard about any of the the great things of black people outside of sports. And so some of these things that are being taught right now, some of these things that are being, listen, I'm one of those people that look, there's a new slavery movie that comes on TV almost every year. I don't watch those. I'm probably one of the few black people that have never watched all the way through The Color Purple. And black people look at me weird because of that. The reason why I've never really watched some of those things because I don't want that mindset. I don't, because I feel like it just brings me down. I feel like, and there's nothing for me, and people's like, well, you need to know where you come from. I know that my great-grandparents went through things. I know my grandparents went through things. And I know my parents went through things to put me in the place that I am right now. And the thing is that they went through those things, but I know they don't want me to go through the same things they went through for me to have the opportunities that I have right now. And for me, mentally, to take advantage of the opportunities I have right now, I can't hold on to some of the things that are in the past.
Yeah.
It's hard for me, and I would say it's hard for a lot of people to hold on to and to always look back into the past, but also be, moving forward.
It's hard to see the future when you keep looking at the past.
And I mean, there's beautiful quotes and all these quotes about, you can't go forward if you're always looking in the rear view mirror. Listen, I don't care about that stuff. I really don't care about that. What I care about is taking the opportunities that people live their life and actually sacrificed and did not have certain things, 50, 60, 100 years ago, did not have the same opportunities I have now, but building on top of those opportunities. Mm-hmm. But the only thing that allows me to do this, if I keep this as clear as I can and not put up roadblocks for myself. I understand in life and in the public, there are going to always be people that are going to try to put up roadblocks for you. There are going to be people of my own race that are going to try to put up roadblocks for me. But also, there are also going to be people that are not of my race that are going to try to put up roadblocks for me because they're going to think that I don't understand how I should feel about things. And I think that's very disingenuous because if I was a man trying to tell a female how she should feel or how she should feel about herself just because she's a female, would I not be in the wrong about that? So how can somebody of another race tell me how I should feel about myself and how I should feel about my lot in life and how I don't understand about being black? I've grown up being black all my life. I've been in the black community all my life. And what I'm trying to say, there's many black experiences. There are a lot, the black experience is not just one experience. It is many folds of the black experience.
I think the schools could do a better job, definitely, to make kids feel equal. And I mean, it's kind of like if you have, 3 children and you're constantly telling 2 of the children how good they are and what great things they do, and then you're constantly badgering the third child. That third child it's going to grow up feeling less than the other 2 children.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I think that the schools can do better. I think that society can do better. I think everybody should feel equal. Everybody is equal.
I think it's hard to feel equal when a lot of things that you hear about, your race is always something on the negative part, though. I really do think it's hard to feel on the equal plane. The thing is that I think that, I do think that people mean well in what they're trying to do, but I don't think that they understand, if you keep bringing up negative things about, someone, how that actually internally makes them feel.
Yeah.
And it's not often called CRT anymore. It's called diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's called all of these different names and labels because of how divisive of a thing that it is. And I think at the end of the day, the big thing here is that let's teach Black history. No one on the right is saying, do not teach Black history, do not teach slavery. If we forget those lessons of the past, we're bound to repeat them. But what we're also saying is that stop being vindictive towards white people for being white. No one alive today was a slave, and no one alive today owned slaves. And so for white children to sit in a classroom and be blamed for sins that they themselves did not commit is wrong. For Black people, for Black children to sit in a classroom and be told that because of the color of your skin, well, it doesn't matter how hard you try, you're really not going to go that far because the society hates you, and then you have all these structural barriers preventing your success. That is also wrong. That is not lessons of hope. That is not lessons of opportunity, and I think that is what schools should be about. You can't create the next generation of leaders if they are never capable of seeing themselves as leaders, right? And I think that is what CRT, unfortunately, in some ways, it does to young children of color.
What CRT means to me is obviously really different from what it means to you. And when you were saying before, kids are being anguished, I am not for kids feeling guilty about being born in the body they were born in. That's not what I taught.
What did you teach?
What did I teach? Well, for one thing, I taught about slavery. For another thing, I taught about the ripple effects of slavery that we're still feeling today. In no way saying that people of color are less than or can't be, or no, not the opposite. Saying people have persevered through things that I myself as a white person will never understand.
For the future to change, things now have to change. If we keep, I feel like the way that things are going right now, in the future, nothing is going to change. You're going to keep hearing negative stuff. I don't know. I think it's like little things have to change now for people to start to just feel more equal. And, you know, I think if people are in a better state of mind, then they're willing to take, like you said, I mean, we know so many people with such great talents, but they're just so afraid to take that risk because they feel less than. Or maybe they just feel like they're afraid of failure, or they just think that they're not good enough for, success or to have what everybody else has. And it's sad. I mean, and I think society does a big part of that, of making people feel that way, and I think that's terrible.
And to be extremely clear is that this is not just a black thing. This goes across a lot of different races, and it also goes across a lot of different genders. A lot of other communities hear these things, and the thing is that these are things that society puts on you. These are weights that society puts on you that you have to supposedly carry and bear. Society throws things on you that they say that you should know about yourself. But that's not everybody's story.
No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, society also says everybody should be married, have a house with a white picket fence, and a child by age 30. I mean, that's setting a ton of people up for failure.
There's a recent bill that was passed in Texas called Senate Bill 3, and it completely revamped Texas's curriculum standards and basically eliminated all requirements for teaching of history education in Texas that relate to diverse perspectives. So teachers can go through the entirety of K through 12 education without ever talking about slavery as an institution, even though it's thoroughly ingrained into just the history, just the basic facts of America's history.
My understanding, I don't see the banning of slavery being taught in
It's
Texas.
not the banning.
Yeah.
The issue is that it's no longer.
I know that bill.
It's no longer required.
I know that bill, and I know it also states that you're not supposed to teach it in a way that causes mental anguish.
So it does not ban it. It doesn't ban the talking of the institution of slavery, but it does create a loophole for teachers to never touch on the topic at any point in a child's education. And that is something that is happening. And it's something that is happening to peers of mine. It is something that is happening predominantly in communities outside of, I guess, my home city of Dallas, but having traveled and having talked to students across the state of Texas, I can confidently say that there are teachers who are not teaching very key facts of American history because critical race theory conversations have so clouded the teaching of history as an entire, whole.
There's no conservative in America who's saying don't teach slavery in the classrooms, but if you're going to talk about slavery, to his point, let's talk about Madam C.J. Walker. Let's talk about George Washington Carver. Let's talk about all these black people who have done some really incredible things that, in spite of quote-unquote systemic racism and all of these things, have achieved. Let's talk about Barack Obama. Let's talk about Kamala Harris. Why is every conversation that we have to have about black people in the classroom about us being in chains, downtrodden, and having no hope? That's a problem. And Black History Month, it's American history. Let's talk about that too. Those are important, inspirational stories that are not taught in the classroom.
Do you think that the fight against CRT is hurting the efforts for more diversity and inclusion?
I don't want diversity and inclusion.
But you said
we already have that.
What I mean by that is you said you want more black stories of hope and success and all of that. That's what I mean.
But that's unfortunately not what CRT is.
Yeah. I know.
That's actually exactly what CRT is.
When they want to talk about all this systematic racism, they want to talk about all this, is this not being something that's being ingrained in people starting at a young age? Because if you're only taught a certain thing at a young age, and you're taught that thing starting at a young age through middle school, through elementary school, through middle school, and through high school, are you not creating the thing that you are saying that's holding people back? You're creating the system at a young age.
But it's not just the schools, it's the homes too. But I think that if things start to change in the schools, then things will start to change at home. And that's what I'm saying is, for things to change in the future, the little things have to start changing now for them to, for 10, 15 years from now, for people to be seeing it different. Maybe it's in the schools it needs to change. When those students become parents, they don't just talk negative about all the negative stuff in the home. But a lot of the stuff I think comes from the home too.
The problem is that there's no simple solution for this. The thing is that there's a twofold problem. There's a problem in the school. There is a serious problem in the school.
For sure.
Listen, I think I'd have been better off not going to, be honest with you, public school into elementary school when I was young. Because that family that I grew up in, my family is high achievers. I'm be honest. Listen, my family, you've met my family. A lot of people in my family are high achievers. We are hardworking and we don't put limitations on ourselves.
Super smart.
But the thing is that by going to school, I was taught to put limitations on myself just because of the color of my skin. I didn't learn that in my family. That's not in my family makeup.
But thank God, because those are probably the children that fall into the pit holes, the people that are getting it in the school and they're getting it at home. I mean, what hope does that give you?
It doesn't give me any hope.
No, it doesn't.
So at the end of this, there's a lot of points in this. There's a lot of points in this, and I really, like I said, when I sat down with this, when you were taking a shower and things like,
it's like a 2-day video. I think this can go on for another day.
Listen, this can go on for a couple days. This is going for a couple weeks. This is going for a year. At the end of the day, I do have this spot in my heart that does pain me, because I do understand that there's some people that are never going to recognize what talent that they do have, and a lot of these people are black people, and they're never going to give themselves a chance to recognize the talent, because they're going to always feel that because of the color of their skin that they are not going to be given opportunities because of this and because of that. Can I say that does not exist to a degree? Possibly. Be honest with you, depending on sometimes where the area that you're in. Some people go through different struggles than other people. But that's not everybody's struggle. And some people are putting themselves into struggles. Some black people are putting themselves into struggles that they necessarily don't have to be in. In the area that we live in, and honestly, in a lot of the people that I went to school with and a lot of people I went to college with, they are doing very well for themselves. But you know what I would hear? You know what I hear? Well, you're doing well, but you're not doing as well as you could if you would be white.
And not everybody that's white is doing well.
That is true too.
Many are not.
But a lot of black people, a lot of my black friends, a lot of black people I know are in what you all would call online the 1%, which means that they're making well over hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some of my friends are in the millions of dollars. And so, just for you to say that, well, if you were white, you would be there. They're doing well already. They're doing better than everybody. I would say pretty much everybody's watching this video right now. No matter what color skin that you are, they're doing better than you.
Well, and if you do the math, if the black population is 12%, isn't that what you said once, of the population, and 1% of them are in the millions? I mean, that's already more than what? My math isn't so great. I'm going to guess maybe like 30% of the white people.
So it may be me. It's maybe me as a black person sitting here talking on camera. I may live in a different world. But you know why I live in a different world? Because I have allowed myself to see things differently than what I've been told that I'm supposed to see things. And sometimes, at some time in your life, and so it took me a while. It took me until...
You sure it's that? It's not my white privilege carrying you through life?
I think I was doing okay before we met.
2 days ago that I have white privilege.
I think I was doing okay before we met. Now I have continued to progress, and listen, that may be because of your white privilege.
I'm like a superhero.
but if I would have listened to what I was taught in school, and if I would have listened to what I was taught when from social media and from TV and from other avenues outside of my own home, I would not be where I'm at right now. At some point in time, you have to blaze your own trail. Sometimes you have to just turn the TV off, turn the social media off. Sometimes you have to be with yourself and go on your own journey, because in going on your own journey, you will find that there will be many people of many different races, because if you are seeking, people will help you.
Yes, they want you to succeed.
And success is one of those things where it draws other people that want to succeed around you. And the thing is that you have to give yourself an opportunity to, you have to give yourself an opportunity to bring that into your life. And if you don't give yourself an opportunity to bring that into your life, then to be honest with you, you're going to listen. I gotta end this video.
Yeah.
But you're going to be where you're going to be, unfortunately. But at the same time, listen, you got to get off these social media things sometimes. You got to get off of this TV. Turn the TV off, turn the social media off, and go live your life.
And take the risk.
And take the risk and go put your head down and pursue what you want to pursue. You may be surprised at some of the people that come along that will help you out, because a lot of times people are looking for people that want to, put themselves out there and want to work hard. You may be surprised at what doors may open just because of putting yourself out there.